On January 4, 2012, an image appeared online. Black background, white text, a simple promise. Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. At the bottom were 4 numbers, 3301. The internet has seen 1 million strange posts. Most die in minutes. This one didn't, because when people opened the image wasn't the message, it was the envelope. Every case leaves a trace. Every mystery hides a story. Welcome to Case File Canvas, where we don't just tell the story, we lay out the evidence and trace the shape of what's missing. Tonight's case file isn't a murder scene. It's a recruitment mystery staged in public, solved in private, and signed with one name, Cicada 3301. At first glance, it looks like an attention grab, a clever puzzle for bored strangers, but the first clue is hidden, then the second, then the third. And with every step, the puzzle teaches a lesson. If you want to find the next door, you have to prove you can notice what others ignore. Early solvers didn't start with genius, they started with suspicion. They checked file properties, they looked for patterns, they assumed the obvious answer was wrong, and when the first concealed layer was confirmed, thousands of people rushed to join the hunt. What made Cicada different wasn't just difficulty, it was escalation. The puzzle didn't stay in one format. It moved through images, text, and files that seemed ordinary until someone looked closer. The hunt rewarded people who could shift gears without being told what skill was required next. Cicada's puzzles weren't built to be fair, they were built to be selective. The trail draws from cryptography, hidden data, obscure references, and something even more important: discipline. Not the ability to solve one riddle, but the ability to keep moving when the trail goes cold. And there's another detail that separates Cicada from ordinary internet games. Authenticity mattered. Some messages were backed by cryptographic signatures, proof that a clue truly came from the same source. In a world full of screenshots, imposters, and edited posts, Cicada demanded verification. As the hunt grows, the tone stays calm, almost clinical. No bragging, no theatrics, just instructions, and the implication that someone is quietly measuring who qualifies. The original post claimed the puzzles were used to recruit highly intelligent individuals, but it never said for what. And if you've ever studied an investigation, you know what missing motive does. It turns every theory into a mirror. Then the puzzle changes shape, a countdown appears, coordinates follow, and people realize the next clue isn't online, it's outside. Across multiple locations, physical posters show up, each marked with the Cicada symbol and a QR code. Not in one neighborhood, not even in one country. Different cities, different continents, verified by strangers who had no reason to coordinate a lie. And it's a perfect psychological trap. Scan the code and you might get the next clue. But scanning unknown codes is exactly how you get burned. Cicada didn't just test intelligence, it tested judgment. That moment is when Cicada stops feeling like a quirky forum legend, because pulling off synchronized real-world drops means one of two things. Either the group had collaborators spread across the world, or it had the resources to make distance irrelevant. Online, the community fractures into roles. Some people solve ciphers, some track locations, some verify authenticity, some document every step like it's evidence from a crime scene, timestamps, screenshots, archived pages. And slowly, a pattern becomes clear. The puzzle rewards people who can work quietly. No grandstanding, no ego, no shouting "I solved it" for likes. Just careful steps, taken in the right order, with the discipline to keep your methods clean. Because the deeper you go, the more you notice what the puzzle is testing besides intellect. Operational security. Can you share what matters without exposing yourself? Can you collaborate without losing control? Can you resist the urge to overshare when silence is the safer move? It's the kind of pressure you don't notice at first. Then one day you realize you're not just solving something, you're being profiled by the way you solve it. Over time, a few participants claimed they reached a private stage. Accounts vary, but certain elements repeat. Questions about values, privacy, freedom of information, resistance to censorship, and requests to complete work aligned with those ideals. If that's true, then the puzzles weren't the end game. They were the filter. By January 2013, a second major Cicada puzzle appears. In early 2014, another follows. Each time, the public trail narrows, and the private story stays out of reach. Then, the 2014 path points toward the artifact that becomes the center of the mystery, Liber Primus. The first book. Page after page of runes and encoded text. Some sections have been translated, many haven't. And even when lines are decrypted, the writing doesn't read like a normal puzzle solution. It reads like philosophy, sometimes poetic, sometimes severe, full of ideas about self-reliance, discipline, and truth. Liber Primus changes the feel of the case file. Because now the question isn't just who built this, it's what kind of group leaves behind a book like this and expects the right people to understand it. After 2014, the rhythm breaks. People wait for January 4th to return like a ritual. Sometimes there are hints, sometimes there's noise, sometimes there are outright hoaxes, but the public cycles don't repeat the way they did before. And eventually, the story becomes less about new clues, and more about what it means when a mystery refuses to end. That's also where the mythology explodes. People debate what 3301 even means. They debate the cicada symbol, why that insect, why that name. Some see it as a reference to cycles and emergence. Others insist it's just branding. The problem is, none of those interpretations come with a confirmed source. The silence turns symbolism into a blank canvas, and everyone paints their own answer. From that point forward, Cicada's greatest strength becomes the community's greatest weakness. Fame creates copycats. Unsigned puzzles appear, fake solutions, new groups wearing the same mask, and because Cicada trained its followers to distrust anything without proof, the legend becomes surrounded by fog. So, what do we actually know? We know there were puzzle sets posted publicly between 2012 and 2014. We know authenticity was controlled through verification methods. We know real-world posters appeared in multiple places. We know Liber Primus exists and remains only partially decoded, and we know the group repeatedly framed the effort as recruitment. What we do not have is the ending, no confirmed list of recruits, no verified organization, no public explanation of what happens after the final door opens. And maybe that's the most realistic detail of all, because real recruitment doesn't end with applause, it ends with disappearance. If anyone truly won, the reward might not have been money or fame. It might have been access, and a new rule: don't talk. Cicada 3301 still haunts the internet because it doesn't ask you to believe in ghosts, it asks you to believe in competence. Someone built this. Someone tested thousands of strangers in public. Someone coordinated clues beyond the screen. And someone walked away without taking credit.